It's like, yeah, like he deserved it, or Osh this, Osh that. It's like when that started happening, certain men started talking, because before then, nobody could really talk to me. Like, yo, like I'll tear off your face. Like, yo, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like they caught me in the weak point. Like, he is weak. You know what I mean? Because this guy did this or whatever. So I remember I applied for a gun license like a week later or whatever. Then I remember, yo, the boy them called me, and they're like, oh, we seen that you applied for like a gun license.
Oh shit.
Is everything like good? You know what I mean? And I'm like, huh? And it was an officer that like had came to the hospital on my case.
Okay, yeah. Welcome to another episode of Sayless doMORE. We got Oshea on the show.
Yeah.
Happy to have you, brother. How's the entrepreneur life going, man?
Man, it's crazy, man.
So you're a busy guy.
Very busy.
Yeah, you're a very busy guy.
Very busy. Yo, I'm just all over the place right now, but the entrepreneur thing has always been a thing for me.
Yeah.
Since I got older, I'm starting to take it more serious, you know?
I can really see, I even if you didn't know you as a person, your social media speaks entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? You always got something going on, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a man where, yo, a thought might come to my head, or I'll go do some research on something or whatever, and as soon as I kind of learn it, like I put it out there for the masses to know, you know?
All right. So we have a segment in our show where we talk, I run your brand through ChatGPT.
Okay, dope.
And it says this, Step It Up Footwear is an online sneaker boutique established in 2005, specializing in reselling authentic, early release sneakers. While their online presence is notable, there isn't clear information about the physical store location in Toronto.
That's dope.
That's you?
That's dope. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. That's dope.
You did have a store location.
I did.
And then what happened?
So back in what was this? 2010, I believe. 2010. I had a location at Dixie Flea Market. That's where I started, right? So I started out the trunk, obviously, and I was just traveling to different cities to, sell shoes and clothing, because I was doing clothing too at one point.
Okay.
Right, I more started with clothing.
So what kind of clothing were you doing?
So I had a hip-hop clothing. I had a link through, remember Jump Off?
Yes.
I had a link through Jump Off, and I was getting some stuff from Jump Off, and I was, going out to Hamilton and more like selling stuff more on the streets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was kind of undercutting Jump Off, but I was getting product from them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had the shoes, I had the clothing, so, that went hand in hand.
So what made you, even go in that route?
Honestly, I always had like a hustler in me type thing, you know what I mean? My mom used to say, like, when I was young, I used to like sell my toys and stuff like that, right? So like, it started there, right? Just like selling toys and all that, but it's just based off of how I grew up, right? I grew up in the area Ridgeway, so my mom never had a job or nothing like that, and like, you know what I mean? I understood what it was from like early, you know what I mean? So going through, the struggle with her or whatever, I understood early, like, yo, like, gotta get this money, you know what I mean? Gotta get it, like, you know what I mean? My step pops too, like he was a hustler, you know what I mean? And so I took some of like the hustle from him too as well. That was kind of like the father figure while he was around, you know what I mean? That made me like get into the mind state of, all right, like I gotta hustle, you know what I mean? So there was a negative to it too as well, which we'll get into, but yeah.
What's it called? When you're dealing with consumers when it comes to the shoe, any issues, pet peeves, things that you had to deal with,
And
this. You ever show up and someone's like, yeah, man, I only got this much on me right now.
The biggest thing, and no disrespect to the D-boys and my street guys.
Yeah.
They'll ask me for a shoe and I'll get a shoe or whatever the case may be. And, shoe releases are normally on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I wouldn't be seeing a man till Sunday or whatever, because I used to kind of go around, pick up all my stuff, get organized for the next day.
Yeah.
So during that time, a man would be going to a club that night or whatever, pop 1-2 bottles, whatever. I'm linking him the next day, and he's like, yeah, come drop my shoe. I'm going to drop the shoe now, and the man's short, right? Because he popped bottles the night before, but now he doesn't have money for me. You know what I mean? And like, that was always one of my pet peeves, because it's like, yo, like, you know, I'm bringing, you know, my business to you, and I'm dealing with you nicely, and like, you're short on the money.
Yeah.
That's one of like my biggest pet peeves. Also, just like dudes that, you know, they kind of use me as like a visa. You know what I mean? They'll order. And then they'll be like, yeah, like, I'll hit you. They'll make little like payments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, that really taught me to have my money up. You know what I mean? But it's also a learning experience for me while I was at it. So catch this. I opened up a line of credit a while back or whatever, because this issue kept on happening, and I only had so much cash to play with. So once I opened up this line of credit or whatever, I started putting everything on the line of credit, and then paying it down as mans would pay me. What I noticed while doing that was that like my line of credit got bigger, and I'm building my credit now because I'm making these payments or whatever. And I just like, you know, kind of rinsed and repeat until like the bank eventually was like, yo, we're going to pre-approve you for like an even bigger line of credit.
Yeah.
And at that time,
Did they reach out to you, or were you the one to reach
so
out?
they reached out to me because they seen everything that was going on. And like, I would go to the bank and they'd be like, oh yeah, you're pre-approved for your line of credit to be bigger, or you're pre-approved for your credit card to be this or whatever. So with that being said, it also got me into like building credit. Right? Because even at that time, my credit was bad. I didn't know about credit, didn't understand credit.
When you have no credit, that's basically bad credit.
That's bad credit.
Yeah.
And that followed me like, you know, throughout my life up until I bought a house. I bought property, my first property, and my credit was bad, fam. Like, you know what I mean? Buying this first property.
Yeah.
And it was just due to me not understanding credit. And I was embarrassed because, like, you know, here we are, like, yo, I'm buying property. And then the realtor's coming back saying, yeah, we got to put you with a B lender because of where your credit situation's at. You know what I mean? But, like, you know, I felt nice at the time because I'm like, yo, I got money from shoes. I'm doing my thing, da-da-da-da. But, yo, my credit was bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used that as motivation to kind of fix my credit up. And so like it worked. Everything, you know, worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into play and worked out.
Okay, another question I want to ask you. I seen in your Instagram a picture with DJ Drama.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because DJ Drama have a lot of issues out here, you know? But how did that come up too?
So back in the day, I guess I can say this, I had a plug, and the plug was the Closet Inc., right? And they had access to a lot of different artists, you know what I mean? I remember hitting them up and saying, yo, like, you know, I'm a reseller. I do my thing. This is when reselling wasn't even big. I think there's only like 2 big resellers in Toronto that I knew of. One was Lightwork, and then there was me, right? I can't speak for anybody else, but Lightwork was one of the biggest guys. So I looked at Lightwork as competition. And I was like, all right, that's the guy. I got to be the guy from Saga to be the guy.
Yeah.
So linked up with the Closet, you know, do them a business pitch. They didn't really want to mess with me at first or whatever, but I just kept on going hard with them. I just started ordering off their website. And I was ordering just regular Nike stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My thing was like, yo, okay, Nike stuff's on sale here. I want to make at least $70 a day. You know what I mean? So I was ordering stuff. So eventually they seen it and they're like, yo, okay, like this dude's doing this thing. And then that's when I got into like the retros with them.
Okay.
And so at one point they had lost their Jordan account. They didn't lose it, it got suspended. And they're like, yo, we need shoes from you. And that was like really my come up. I was like, all right, cool. How many do you need? They're like, yo, can you get like 30 pairs? And at this time I was only working with getting like 10 pairs. And I was like, 30? I'm like, all right, yeah, I could do that. So then, boom, I was like going on Champs, Foot Locker, all my guys that I knew there, whatever that I.
Are you standing in those lines and shit too?
Right, I'm standing in lines and doing all that.
Oh,
right?
God.
And so I'm talking to these guys and I'm like, yo, like I need shoes. I'm going to every store and like I need shoes. And they're like, okay, cool. And at the time, like Jay's didn't really like sell off the shelves like that. But they seen that I'm the guy coming in, taking 20 pairs, 30 pairs. So during the time Closet didn't have their Nike account or whatever, I was the one that was supplying them with Jordans and all of that. So then now, that's what kind of got me into meeting DJ Drama and supplying kicks to what's homeboy that just passed, Rich Homie Quan.
Yeah.
Right? He's actually a size 8.5.
Yeah.
Right? So I would get size 8.5 for him and stuff like that. So that's how I got into that. So the night that I met DJ Drama, I just had some stuff that the closet didn't have. And they're like, yo, there's a DJ Drama concert coming down. Drama needs shoes. Yo, come through.
So how does he, is he saying like, yo, I need some shoes?
He's calling closet saying, yo, I'm coming into the city. I need shoes. Because where the closet is, they're located out in Chatham. And Chatham is close to like Windsor. So they got a lot of Windsor customers or whatever coming through. Like, you know, sorry, not Windsor, Detroit customers coming through. You know what I mean? So they had that relationship there. So that's how I got to slide in and deal with, you know what I mean? Some of the you know, the artists there. So it was dope. A lot of times they'd call me and they'd be like, yo, we need shoots for so-and-so. And Drama was the first artist that I got to meet and actually supply shoes to. So that was a dope experience.
You saying your consistency paid off?
Oh, for sure. For
real. So let me ask you this too now. Jordan, when it comes to the Jordan retros, which ones? Give me your top three. Actually, give me your Rushmore. Jordan retros.
Yo, so we're obviously I'm gonna go with Jordan 1. Bread.
Oh, you like the ones,
Bread. Yeah, Breads are my favorite, right? The reason why Breads are just my favorite overall, like it's a shoe that I can wear anytime, anywhere. I could wear it to work, so I could dress it up. I could dress it down or whatever. It's just an easy overall shoe. You know what I mean? And there's so many different colorways, obviously. My second would have to be a Jordan 3. Definitely love threes. Just the overall.
I never was a big fan.
Not a fan of threes.
I look at threes like a cheap 4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I used to like 4s, but then the 4s were always so bulky. And like I tried the 3s.
I feel like the 3s
and I was like, 3s are a little bit more slimmer, like pointier. Like I like it. So I like that better. But so that I would say that I like 8s. I know a lot of people don't really like 8s. 8s is the one with like the strap that goes across like that, right? So I love the 8s because the 8s really like the Nikes. Like, you know, the Nikes that had like the crossover or the straps or whatever. There's so many.
We say the Reebok days,
and all that, the Ewing days with the So like, you know, Nike definitely took that and added that. You know, there's so many shoes off the top of my head that I can't think of with the strap back in the days that I had. So there's that. I love 5s. Love 5s. There's a few numbers that I really like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say those are the numbers that I really.
I think the 2 and the 3s were so bald. Like that's where I'm like, 2
are bulky. 2s are bulky still. 2s are bulky.
That's one Jordan I don't have. I don't even care to have.
What would you say your favorite number is?
I like the 4s. I went crazy with the 1s for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it was just the wave and everybody.
Ones were the wave.
But yeah, I can't lie. It messed up my foot, bro.
Doing the 1s? Why? Because the flat sole?
The flat soles. So like, honestly, you're only going to really. If I have to do a lot of walking, I'm not wearing the 1s.
Yeah. If I'm doing anything active, I don't actually wear J's. J's are just for like, they're like designer shoes. Stuff like that. That's what it's like.
How many shoes you got, bro?
Damn. I'm pushing probably over 600 and change. Yeah, 600 and change.
My goodness, bro.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
So okay, so what's the long-term goal like? Because you can't take them with you.
I don't even know. Like, I guess, like, really, I pass them down to my son. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know where I'm at right now. Like, I'm like, yo, what am I doing with this? Am I gonna sell? Like what's going on?
But yo, if you sell,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because yo, I didn't even realize there's a community of people that will buy used shoes,
big,
bro.
The used.
Like what? I could never picture me put my foot in a shoe that somebody sweat and wore already. Like, you know,
it's big. It's big. The reason for it is that like when you can't get in at the high price, you're gonna get in at the middle, right? It's like buying a used car. You know what I mean? You might want to buy that Maybach or whatever, but you know the Maybach costs like money. You know what I mean? But at 70,000 or 100K kilometers, the Maybach's a little easier to get into. So that's how it is with shoes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Honestly, I never I know one other person that like takes their shoe game serious, just like you, but you look at his collection, you'll be like, yo, this guy's collection is serious.
Yeah.
But it doesn't amount to yours. Like, I don't even think I've seen you wear the same shoe twice.
Yeah, nah.
Like, this guy can literally wear a different shoe every day of the year.
Literally.
For a year.
Literally.
That's sick, man. That's sick. It's, as men, we have those things. Those little, like, hobby.
You gotta have a hobby, right? Like, as a man. Like, if you don't have a hobby as a man, I don't know. What are you doing then?
Nah, man, what are you doing? So now, bum. I remember we were talking about it. You have your store going, and then COVID hits.
Yeah.
And I never forget looking at a picture and seeing what COVID almost did to you.
Yeah, man.
You wanna tell everybody, tell people your experience?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting story.
COVID was crazy. COVID almost dropped me out still. It was crazy. So, when I look back at the whole situation, like the COVID itself, right? The whole pandemic itself was like a blessing for me, because it gave me time to slow down. Like I slowed down. Like I was forced to slow down because I was always just kind of hustling and like moving and just no time for myself. You know what I mean? So the only time I got was like in the gym or whatever. You know what I mean? So all in all, like that part of it was just amazing because I got to self-reflect. However, I think I was going through like a lot of stress during COVID. Like it was like a transitioning period. You know what I mean? And so, when the COVID caught me, even though like I'm the healthiest guy, like I juice, I eat, I do it all, I think it was just due to the stress.
Are you set to elevate your fitness journey? Hardcore Ape Fitness merges top-tier workout gear with bespoke training programs tailored to your ambitions. Experience ultimate comfort and resilience with our apparel, allowing unrestricted movement in every session. Whether you aim to gain strength, shed pounds, or boost endurance, we've got you covered. It's not just about fitness, it's a lifestyle revolution. DM a hardcore ape.fitness to begin your transformation.
Follow him. Yo, have to follow this guy. If you don't, you're a piece of shit.
You know what I mean? And so I remember going to work and then everything was fine that day or whatever. And then, I left. And then I was on my way home and I'm like, damn, like, I don't feel good. Like, I just feel tired. Like a flu. Like, you know what I mean? Body just run down. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to sleep or whatever. Just go on easy, So I go home. I'm freezing, like everything, all the symptoms or whatever.
Are you thinking like, this could be COVID? Or are you just thinking?
I'm just thinking it's a regular cold because like
is the word COVID popping around and talking about it?
COVID is not in like my head or nothing like that. I'm like, this is a regular cold because if I had COVID, then I would have diarrhea or something like that, right? Because like, remember they're saying, if you get COVID, like, you're going to be having diarrhea. Like, I'm thinking like, this is what's going to happen. So then boom, like my symptoms moved like literally so quick. And I remember calling like my ex Ting and I was like, I'm sick or whatever. And she was like, she's a nurse at the time. She's like, it could be COVID. You know what I mean? And then I'm just like, she's like, okay, well, I could come by, like, help you out, X, Y, and Z. So boom, I was like, no, like, I'm good. I'm going to deal with it on my own. Like, I don't need you over or whatever, But she was persistent, like, no, I'm going to come. So boom, like, the symptoms just switched on me. Like, now it's like it just got worse. Now, like, my back is hurting. My arms are hurting me. Like, my smell didn't go yet. But it didn't go yet. But that, like, gradually all that came. I was sleeping a lot. Then I didn't want to eat. I stopped eating because I just wasn't like hungry or nothing like that, right? So then, boom, I did the test, the COVID test or whatever, and then it came back. They're like, yeah, you have COVID or whatever. Each and every day, fam, the COVID just got worse. You know what I mean? It got to the point where like I couldn't watch TV because like my eyes are just going blurry, so I couldn't watch TV.
Shit.
Remember, I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking. I would drink like the water or whatever, and the water would like taste dry. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking water and just imagine water tasting dry. I don't want to, I was eating food and like, this girl had to force me to eat food. Because I'd tell her like, the food's dry. And I remember there was like this juice in the house and I was like, dip the chicken in the juice, man. I'm like, I was messed up. Like, you know what I mean? Cause I'm like, the chicken's so dry. Like, you know what I mean? And she's forcing me to eat. And I'm like, I don't want to eat. So during that whole like time I was there, like at home, I was just sleeping the whole entire time because I was in so much pain that I wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was, I had pneumonia, COVID pneumonia.
Okay.
Right? So like I couldn't breathe. So
Pause for a second. When you say COVID pneumonia, was that like you felt like you had is that like what the doctor was telling you?
Yeah. So I had pneumonia, like, right?
So you had pneumonia and COVID.
And COVID, right?
Okay.
So a lot of people that get COVID, they get the pneumonia with it or whatever. So that made it worse, right? So like I'm struggling through pneumonia and the COVID. So I'm going up the stairs or whatever, and I'm having an asthma attack. And then, you know, like doctors asked me, have you had asthma before? And I'm like, nah. Like, I'm like, maybe when I was young, yeah, I remember having some puffers or whatever. Yeah. But like, yo, I run, I do it all. Like everything.
Remember
like,
in the gym, we played, this guy's
ball,
jumping through the fucking roof.
Everything's good. So I remember one day I had like, yo, a crazy like asthma attack, right? Like panic attack. Like I couldn't breathe. And I kept actually going to the hospital in Burlington.
Oh, so you were going to the hospital?
I was going to the hospital. They were turning me back. They're like, yeah, you have COVID, but like, yo, go home.
Yeah.
So eventually, homegirl was like, yo, like, we can't go to Joseph Brent. We got to go to Oakville. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because, yo, like, it's getting bad. And I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't get rid of my fever. I had a fever the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So we're about 8 days in with COVID, and every day is getting worse. And I'm not eating, like nothing. I'm not eating nothing, like a little bit of water. So during that time, I'm like kind of like just like hallucinating and stuff like that. Like,
damn, bro.
I'm like messed up. I'm not really like sleeping.
When you're like, your body's fading, like you're fading, you start hallucinating.
Yeah, start hallucinating. And yo, on God, I'm not even real. I got to one point where I was just like, yo, like if you're like gonna die, yo, just take me out right now. Cause I'm like, yo, this is not it. This is like not it. Like I was ready just to go, fam. Like real talk. Damn. And I think like it was that day when I was like, yo, ready to go, that this girl's like, yo, we're going to Oakville. Boom. I went to Oakville, went in. They took my, took my temperature and took like my oxygen. The man looked at me and said, yo, how are you even still alive? They're like, yo, your oxygen's low. Like right away, they skipped like every step of like getting the information. They're like, yo, just go here or whatever. So they put me like in the ICU there, gave me, what do you call it? The IV and stuff like that. The IV did all that, hooked me up or whatever, like right away. That's like the quickest ever, yo, right away. So then boom, stayed in the hospital now for 4 days, and they had me on oxygen and all that or whatever. And then I kind of started to gradually come back. I couldn't sleep like still, so they were giving me like sleeping pills and like as drugged up on steroids, like yo, everything. You know what I mean? But I started to like get better, started to eat a little bit here and there. I was still having like the asthma attacks, and then I couldn't even walk properly because my body was just so frail and weak. Yeah. So I remember like, so before COVID started, I was at like 225, right? I was on like some gorilla time.
I stay here. Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just big, you know.
Yeah, so 225.
Oh, it's just big, you know.
Gym's locked down, I started boxing. Like, you know what I mean? I really love the boxing, but I slimmed down from boxing. Yeah. So I came down to about 190. You know what I mean? Yeah. Boxing, cut, looking wicked.
That's a lot of job,
right?
Though.
And then boom, COVID, I dropped down to 160.
Oh my God. I remember seeing
within 8 days.
Bro, I remember seeing that picture of you.
Yeah.
You're like hooked up to a machine,
man.
A ventilator.
Yeah, man.
And I couldn't believe that was you, bro.
Man. Yo, like
that's
different.
Just scary.
My face was different. Everything was just different. Like I was looking at my body, like yo, like I was like the regular me, like because me, like I was never big. You know what I mean? So 160, I would say, is my actual like body weight. Like that's me. So I came all the way back down to that, and then yeah, fam, like. It really kind of just made me look at life differently again, because that was like another near life-death incident, like, you know what I mean? Where I was like, yo, damn, I really got to start like, you know, taking things like differently and moving differently, you know what I mean? And so, yo, that was like a crazy experience with COVID. And so I get why some people drop out from COVID, because literally it attacks all your illnesses, right? I dislocated my elbow playing ball like years ago. Yo, it felt like my elbow was dislocated.
Oh my God.
I had jumper's knee. Yo, it felt like, yo, my jumper's knee came back. You know what I mean? The bottom of my foot was in pain. Like, I have a scar here. Yeah. My scar was in pain. Yeah. Like, yo, I felt all like my past injuries and illnesses like during the COVID. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, yo, that thing's a different thing still.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. Like, I feel like whoever created that in that lab, like, yeah, they knew what they were doing. And again, that's why people are dropping out.
I have a couple of questions when it comes to that, because obviously it's not you You're not out here by yourself. You have your son.
Yeah.
You have your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your siblings.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me what they were going through. Like, imagine seeing somebody that you see is 225 regular, then finally drop down to 160. That's like, that's bones, bro.
It's crazy. So like, yo, my mom was obviously like going through it because she's like, damn, like, you know what I mean? I'm her only son, you know what I mean? And she's like, yo, like, this is crazy. So she was panicking, and that was kind of stressing me because she was panicking. My son's mom was just like, yo, like, she was crying because she's like, yo, I don't know if this guy's gonna like drop out because like, see me in the hospital, like, they see me like on deathbed, literally. Right, my son was just like, yo, like, he was like, whoa, like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So he kind of felt the ways because he didn't really see me for a good minute. And normally, like, you know, we always have our interaction, and he's always over at my house, but like, he couldn't come through. So it's like the first thing I did when I kind of got better, as I got out of the hospital, because I was there for 4 days, is I went and checked my son or whatever. But I think it was weird for him because like, he seen me, but now I'm hooked up to like an oxygen.
Yeah, bro, I couldn't. You're a superhero, dog.
So like, he's like, yo, holy, like, this is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? But it was a crazy, crazy moment still for me. Cause like, when you have your youths, you never think about like, yo, death. You always just think about like, yo, like seeing them grow and everything like that or whatever. So it was crazy. It was definitely crazy. Like a moment for me where I just had to reflect on life and be like, yo, life is really precious. Like, yo, you could be here today, like gone tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean?
Other than talking about it now, and like before you came on the show, we spoke briefly about what we would be talking about.
Yeah.
But you ever had those times where you just by yourself or like just in general and just be like, fuck, dog, I almost fucking died.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're like,
If that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does it make you want to like step foot in a church or something like?
I have it all the time because it's not my first time like looking at death, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, for me, it's like, I was more like, yo, damn, like, yo, how come I always keep on having like these near death like experiences? Like, I'm a good youth, and you know, I try to move in the path of like God, you know what I mean? But I'm like, yo, like, there's obviously something, you know what I mean? I said, yo, but I keep coming back. You know what I mean? It's like, but I have these near death incidents that make me always like reflect. But this is the one where I like really reflect. Like, you know what I mean? The last incident I have, I was still in like a mad place or whatever, you know what I mean?
You want to talk about it? I don't know what you're talking about.
So like, yeah, back in 2007, I was like, you know, when I started the whole Step It Up Footwear thing, I was still kind of like doing my thing, like, you know what I mean, streetwise or whatever.
Okay.
But I always kind of still wanted to just be that business guy, you know what I mean? Given like the environments that you grow up in, certain things are gonna latch on to you.
Yeah, of course.
And you're gonna try certain things, and you're gonna carry a certain name and be a certain guy, right? But if you're living within like the hood, you want to make sure that you have tough skin because you're around the gorillas. So you want to have tough skin. So I always kind of had that tough skin. There was a lot of like drama within the neighborhood and a lot of politics within the neighborhood. You had guys that didn't like you. You had guys that did like you. You know what I mean? But sometimes you never knew who was really scheming and hating on you. So for me, I was always doing my thing. I was always out of town. Like, I try not to be in too much of the politics of the neighborhood. And so, you know, everybody knew I was the clothing guy, I was a shoe guy. I'd always bless everybody and deal with everybody, you know? And I remember one of the youths coming up to me one day, and I can't exactly remember like where it came from, but it just came from hate. And he was just like, yo, like, you're not even putting nobody on in the hood. X, Y, and Z, da. And you know, at the time, it's like, I'm a man that you can't even talk to me because I'll just tear off your head. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? I said, put who on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to put myself on. But for them, what they seen was like, yo, like,
Oh, he's balling by himself.
Like, you know what I mean? Because them times, I'm not going to lie, I copped the Maxima, Cash.
Yeah.
I was rolling with a few guys from Montreal that were known doing their thing.
Yeah.
So what they seen was, yo, this guy's on. You know what I mean? But like, I was just still making it up and trying to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't really at that level. So like, I was just like, yo, I don't even know how I'm supposed to put the man on if I'm not fully on. You know what I mean? And so cool, collected guy. Like I've always been that way, you know? So he puts me in a wheelchair, we pull up, we go in. You're calm at that time. I'm just calm at that time. Yeah, I'm actually kind of cheesed. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, it was thinking like, yo, it's because they got. Also, we roll up and then, you know, the lady's like, yo, what happened? I'm like, oh yeah, like I got stabbed or whatever. And she's like, okay. She's like, okay, just go over there. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I go over there and then telling my mom and my boy, they're both with me. And I'm just sitting there. And then my boy's like, yo, like, no, we got to get you in now. Because as I'm sitting through the wheelchair, there's like a pool of blood. And then, oh my crap, is like bleeding. So then boom, he runs and he tells the lady looks, she's like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? So I remember them rushing me in. The last thing I remember, to be honest with you, fam, is, this is how messed up, them and the catheter. They had the catheter and I was like, yo, holy, like shit, like, what are you guys gonna do with that or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? And then that's the last thing I remember. So I went into surgery pretty much. I lost like, 5 pints of blood pretty much from what the doctor was saying, right? Your body holds like 8. Then I started to hemorrhage when they did the surgery.
Hemorrhage, is that it?
Right? So when you start like bleeding a lot or whatever, like, you know what I mean? So they had to give me back blood because I lost so much blood. You know what I mean? And then I remember coming out of surgery. And then when I came out of surgery, I remember they had me on the, what do you call that thing? The life support thing. Oh, I forget the name of it, but they had it like down your throat. Down your throat. Yeah. So I remember like waking up or whatever, right? Yeah, big pops, right? I remember waking up and like, like screaming because like my hands were like tied to the thing. So I guess what happens is most people when they wake up like that and they have that thing down their throat, they pull it out, right? Yeah. And that's for like usually when you're on life support, they put you on. That's what happens. They put you on life support with those things, right, to help you breathe. So I remember waking up or whatever, screaming and then just knocking back out. And then when I woke up again now or whatever, it wasn't like in my mouth because for them, it's like, okay, like he's good, whatever. Yeah. So when I woke up, doctor's like, yeah, you lost like a lot of blood. We had to like, do surgery, cut you open, all of that or whatever. Like, had me like messed up. And he's like, yeah, you might not be able to like walk again, right? Because where you were stabbed, it might affect like your walking and stuff. So I'm like, holy. So that was crazy, like for me or whatever, because that's my first kind of like experience or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, it also kind of humbled me in a sense because, I was moving like I was invincible, like, you know what I mean? And it humbled me in a sense. And I was on some like some shit, right? However, I had to go through a lot because once I came out of the hospital, it's like I was looking at certain guys like, yo, I don't know if I could trust you or whatever. So now I was on like a madman thing, like, you know what I mean?
And trauma like that happens to people.
Yeah.
They're very defensive. They'll be on the defense. Yeah, of course. Like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I was on the defense.
Like, it's green man's watching your pockets.
Yeah, so I was like, yo, damn. Like, and I had to go back home too as well. So like, I didn't even know who was with me and who's not with me because I heard a bunch of talk is like, yeah, like, he deserved it or Osh this, Osh that. It's like when that started happening, certain men started talking because before then, nobody could really talk to me. Like, yo, like I'll tear off your face. Like, yo, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like they caught me in the weak point. Like he is weak. You know what I mean? Because this guy did this or whatever. So I remember I applied for a gun license like a week later or whatever. And I remember, the boy them called me and they're like, oh, we've seen that you applied for like a gun license.
Oh, shit.
Is everything like good? You know what I mean? And I'm like, huh? And it was an officer that like had came to the hospital on my case, like trying to question me about everything. He called me and he was like, what's going on? And so with that whole incident, obviously there's a whole like no snitch thing or whatever. And me, I was just moving like, yo, I didn't know what happened or whatever. I never mentioned any names or whatever. Although they already had an idea of who it was. You know what I'm trying to say? Because for them, it was 3 grown women there. You know what I mean? And they're not on my time. You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm not even trying to have it. So I felt like I had to move out to Hamilton for a bit because the boy them were like on me. But they were like dealing with me as if like, yo, I'm the one that stabbed someone. Like that's how they were like on me or whatever, right? And especially because I applied for like the gun license and everything, right? So I was on some demon time for a good minute. And I got myself in a lot of different situations based off of that shit happening. Because anything that I seen as a threat, I was like acting on it. Like the littlest of things or whatever, right? And like, I can't get too into it, but there's just so many incidents that like, you know, police were involved, that I kind of like got out of or whatever due to like my trauma response or whatever, you know what I mean? And yo, often like, yo, when things happen to you, like you're going to be in like guerrilla mode, you know what I mean? And when you see things that are not threats, you're going to respond to them as a threat, you know what I mean? So I was moving like that for a good like 5-6 years, you know what I mean? Before I kind of came out of that mindset.
Well, fuck, bro. You said they had to cut you open, right?
Yeah.
So you always have that constant reminder.
I always have that constant reminder, you know what I mean, of that. And then like I said, like 2 years after that, I got into a next situation or whatever the case may be where, you know, I got cut across the face or whatever. And again, it was like another trauma response or whatever, like, you know what I mean? So all in all, man, like it's crazy. Like it's crazy. But, you know, as I started to grow, I started to self-reflect on certain things and start moving a lot different. You know what I mean? I won't lie, like as even though I'm grown and stuff like that, there are still some triggers for me where I'm like, you know what I mean? I move in a certain manner, but I know now it's like, yo, I can't be in certain environments. You know,
brother, that's one thing I want the youth them to understand. People need to understand that if you know your triggers and you really seriously want to be better, then stay away from those environments. It's like simple, like, you know.
You got to come out of the environments.
But I feel like, a lot of these day and age, especially everybody, some of the youth are looking for validation.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
It's so
100%.
sad because you're literally living somebody else's life.
Yep.
You're not chasing your own path.
Yep.
And at the same time too, like, brother, look what almost happened. Like, that is crazy.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
You know, like I'll say, like I'm not a dude that's like, you know, I'm not a bad boy. I'm not in the streets like that. I've always been a hustler. I'm this hustler, right? Like me, I know who I am. I'm a hustler. That's what I am. I'm a businessman. So I'm not on no like demon time or whatever.
But you're not a punk either.
Right, I'm not a punk either, right? But I'm not on no demon time.
Yeah.
But based off of the environment that I was in, I was on demon time for a moment. And I feel like a lot of these youths, that's what happens. Things happen,
you know what? That's
and they go through a certain kind of like trauma or whatever, like that we don't know about, that they feel like they got to be on demon time. And so nobody's there to kind of guide them through what they're going through. Because when I was going through my thing, nobody was like, yo, fam, like, I know, you know, you're stabbed and whatnot. Like, how do you feel? What's going on? I had to kind of deal with all that amongst myself.
Oh, so what'd you do? But
I'll get back.
That's how you.
So well, the get back. Everyone's like, yo, like the get back. So the get back was on my head, and I was like, the get back. That's all I was focused on. And anybody that was saying anything, I was like, like let's, like, you know what I mean? It's a thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, I applied for my gun license. It was like that real or whatever, right? I wasn't even thinking at the time because I'm like, yo, like, who are you really gonna like do something to your gun license or whatever, right? But I think it was just a simple fact that I just wanted safety when I was home. You know what I mean? But I was just like I said, I was on that time. So yeah, man, like that's probably like the biggest situation in my life where I was just like, yo, like I have to eventually like change. And then I started to transition. And as I transitioned, like I really went the business way. I got a job. So I started working for the school board, and I got stabbed over the summer. So I got hired with the board like 3 or 4 months before I got stabbed and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then I had to heal up that summer and then go into work like, yo, nothing happened. You know what I mean? So I was still going through my shit while being like in a professional environment. And it was hard for me to adapt to like that environment because I still had such a hustler in me and like a little bit of like, you know, street in me. So now I'm around like, you know, different people, older people, white people, Indian people, whatever. And, you know, they're professional and they're talking about like different things, cottages, finances, life insurance, all that stuff that I don't even know about. I just know how to hustle. And I'm really taking it in because I'm always a youth to take things in, like, you know what I mean? And I took it in and I was like, all right, like, yo, this is what real life is. Like, you know what I mean? And so through working with just different like professional people within the board, I was able to just develop more like skills as like an adult, you know what I mean? How to conduct myself more professional, you know what I mean? And yeah, I moved on up in that job or whatever, you know what I mean? As a black man. It was a struggle, like I said, because it's like you're transitioning between like, you know, that hood hustler lifestyle,
It's a hard, it's a hard.
regular like life, like every day. And I was missing days of work. I won't even lie. And they were calling me in the office like, yo, like, you can't miss days of work like this. Like, what's going on? Well, for me, I was just like, yo, like, I make more money doing my thing. You guys are wasting my time here.
Oh, sorry. Oh, man, that's like, we used to hustle, man. You know what I mean? How did you will hide?
Yeah, like, you guys are wasting my time there. Like, I don't need this or whatever, you know? And I remember, like, two black youths pulling, well, not youths, two older guys pulling me ahead and saying, yo, you're a black man. You're in a good position. X, Y, and Z. Like, yo, like, pretty much fix up. And I was like, all right. Like, I took direction. Because, one thing about me is, like, I didn't really have much of a father figure. So any type of, like, male direction that came and, like, corrected me, I was taking it in and saying, all right, like, I'm gonna listen to you, right? Whereas I find right now, like, not all the youth will take direction like that.
Yeah.
Like, I may have took direction like that, but some youth they're not having that. You know what I mean? So I was blessed to be that guy or whatever, and then here I am.
Good question, because I still want to go back. I have a 1-2 COVID question, but while we're here right now, so like I go to the gym, I work out.
Yeah.
Right. You probably have you do the same, but I want to talk about. Okay, so you being what you've been through.
Yeah.
Right. From my point of view now, I go to the gym. I've caught myself lately being like, yo, bro, why are you doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
Why you lifting so heavy? Bro,
Yeah.
trust me, dog. Like, my shoulder doesn't even work no more right now because, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm wondering, like, now that you're in that position and you ever, like, see youths going through certain things and you're like, yo, listen, bro. Dog, you're not as sick as you think. Like, or that, you know what I'm saying? Like, brother, because I feel if somebody that's been there, done that, is going to get through way more than somebody that's just on the outside talking.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, and if you can tell them like, yo, bro, trust me, man, I could have ended up like this. I was in an environment, I used to live in this type of environment, but I made it, bro. You can do it too.
100%. I think, I'm big on that. Like, recently I got thrown a case of a youth that, he's in the streets doing his thing. He's a guy and he got shot. And so he's recovering from his wounds and stuff like that. So, the psychologist that I work with is like, yo, I'm going to put you on this case. He's like, I think this case is good for you. He doesn't even know anything that I went through, but for him, he's just like, I think this case is good for you. It's a black youth. So I'm there and like, I'm talking to him and I'm talking to him on the ones and I'm just asking him like, yo, like, so what's going on? Like, how do you feel? Like, you know what I mean? You got shot. Like, how's everything? How are you recovering? Yeah. And he's just like, like, I'm fine. Like, he's just kind of playing it cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? But being what I've been through or whatever, I'm like, yo, I know it's not cool. Yeah. You're just guaning like it's cool. You know what I mean? So I'm like to him, yo, you ever feel like, you want to get your lick back? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's like, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, how did you feel about like, the whole
fact
situation?
that he opened to you is big,
right? How did you feel about that? He's like, yeah, like, and then he started opening up and just kind of like talking about how he feels. And I just said to him like, yo, like, again, like, you're going to have certain trauma responses going through life. So you're going to have to try to figure out how to heal from that situation. Like, I can't tell you how to heal, but I could only give you the pointers of if you go back into that environment, there's only two places you're going to go. It's either you're going to jail or you're dead. Yeah. It's either or. Yeah. So it's up to you. I said, I know your ego's hurt right now, but fam, like, sometimes you just have to let your ego be hurt and be able to, like, live to see a next day. You get what I'm trying to say?
You ever like lift up your shirt and be like, look, bro.
I didn't even lift up the shirt. I just told him my story and I was like, yo, like, this is what's going on or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah.
I've been there, buddy. Don't worry.
Been there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, yo, with these youths, like, I always tell them where they're going to end up. I had another youth that was doing his thing and I said, yo, buddy, like, you're gonna end up somewhere. And he's like, like, I don't get my hands dirty, X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. But the same kid that I'm working with that got shot, that was actually his brethren. I just happened to like connect with them, but like I didn't even know that was his brethren. And so this kid was rolling with a machine in the summertime, and he got caught and got locked up. And so he was 17 at the time, turning 18. He's gonna be 18 in 2 weeks. So he's lucky because it goes under like the youth. Right, he's not gonna go under as an adult. So he calls me all the time, and like he politics. He lets me know what's going on, what level he's on his range, and because they get levels. So if they get to like a level 4, then they can eat like Kentucky or whatever, or like outside food every Sunday and whatnot. They get more privileges. So he's always calling me and linking me. And I think because me and him were politic, and I told him like, yo, like this is where you're gonna end up. He's seen that I was so real with him or whatever that he's like, yo, you know what? This guy's like a good youth. He knows like the street life, but he understands like, yo, where I'm at. So like, let me keep that connection. So he always like keeps the connection. And when he calls me, I'll see that like government of Canada calling. I know it's him calling. I answer it all the time. I could be at work. I could be anywhere, but I always answer to him.
That means, I tell you right now, that probably means a lot.
It means a lot. It means a lot, right? Like I have one, two, you know, brethren that are locked up and like, yo, like I know what it is. You know what I mean? To just have conversation with the outside
And
world.
brother, those youth jails, brother,
Yo, they're rough.
they're wild.
They're wild.
Like,
They're rough.
dude, I know before I changed my life, bro, there's certain things that I've been through where I was at, and certain people I talked to, I never had to deal with anything like that as a youth. You know what I'm saying? My parents just straight bust my ass.
Yeah,
You got that far. Like, yo, what?
Yeah. You're taking a bus ass, like that's it.
Like, yo, my parents used to, you know what I'm saying? Really, like, lay down the law, like, you know what I'm saying?
And these days, these kids aren't even getting that. They're not getting none of that.
Yeah, so now it's like the adults are saying like, yo, the youths are wild, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, in certain places, you can't move certain ways, like okay, everybody gets to eat. You can't really bully people like that.
Yeah.
But these kids will really like bully each other and like,
they don't
you know
care,
what I'm saying?
right?
Some real savage shit.
So it's like, I want to even touch on that, right? And so like, obviously we're living in a different time, right? And I want like everybody to realize we're living in a different time. So like, let's tap in that like, yo, when we were coming up, we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
Phones weren't as advanced as they're advanced right now.
Yeah.
So like anything that you've seen in your environment is what you seen.
Yeah.
Now you have the phone, and the phone is allowing you to see everybody's environment.
Yeah.
It's allowing you to see everyone's perspective. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's allowing you to talk shit on the other side about somebody without getting your face like torn off for real. So you go through your life of, you know, being a bully over the internet or like doing certain things or whatever without being challenged. You know what I mean? And so these youths, this is how they're living. They don't know how to socialize properly. You know what I mean? And they're not taking no check from me or you sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's a different world we're living in. You know what I mean? And I feel like, say, like the youths, they really need more guidance, but they also need, I don't know, us as adults to be like just better like adults.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? On how to deal with them. It's not like before where you can just bust a kid's ass or like just talk a certain way.
Sometimes that's what
but
some people need that.
I'm not gonna lie though, you're right.
Because it's
right.
like, yo, bro, I really...
But you know how it is these days, like, oh, like gentle parenting, But I believe in both, right? I don't know.
Brother,
like, I don't know. I might bust your ass and then
she might hear this, but I don't wrong her for doing it because, yo, bro, I was a problem child. But my mom used to bust my ass to the point one time I told the school, I'm like, yo, my mom's gonna kill me.
Yo. So like these kids now, they don't have no fear of their parents. You know what I mean? They have no fear.
Please, I'm begging the school.
Yeah,
on my knees. No. So they're looking at, oh shit, she busts your ass. And they're like, oh shit, Miss Williams, you can't be doing that. Really, they like, I'm like, yo, my mom I told the school, I'm like, yo, my mom beats me. 2 twos, bro. My mom got back to that. You know what my mom said to me? She's like, you know what they're gonna do to you? They're gonna take you away and you can't come back here. She's like, go
real thing.
Go down, bust your ass right now, and then go tell them that.
Real thing. Bro. It's funny because my mom said the same thing. My mom said, call the boy them because they're gonna just take you to a group home. You're not gonna have your own bed. You're gonna be laid in bed with like other people. Pause. I was like,
I'm like, yo, fuck that. Fuck that.
Right? So my mom definitely did like threaten me. So it's like, it kept me under mana. And I'm like, it's crazy because some people are going to tell you like, yo, your kids should never fear you, X, Y, and Z. But I really feel like, yo, like you are the hierarchy, right? So your kids should fear you. You know what I mean? Your kids should want to impress with you.
Bro, kids not, oh, fuck you, mom. I don't care. Like, what, brother? Like, yo, what? I can't even picture me saying that like that.
And remember
I'll lose my tooth.
Back in the day, we used to see like, you know, like a white kid acting out and they'd be telling their mom to F off and X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? I see the black kid doing it. The black kid is the new white kid.
Yeah,
and they're telling their parents to F off and where to go
kissing
and
their teeth
kissing their teeth and all of that or whatever, right?
Yeah, tell their mom, bro.
Yeah.
You can't-
Like I see it.
Yo, bro,
I see it.
You don't remember your parents thought you can't even lift up your hand when you're talking to them and explaining
can't.
yourself. You can't even be like, oh, sorry, with your hands up. Your parents are telling, what?
And the
Why
saddest,
you want to fight?
exactly. The saddest part to it all, fam, is that a lot of these kids that I see and that I work with, they get everything they want. They
Yeah.
have the moose knuckle, they have the iPhone, they have the PlayStation 5, they have the Jordans. They have it, fam. I had to go out and get it. My mom said, yo, I can't afford that, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hold a Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Hold this Brooks for back to school. You know what I mean? So I had to go out and get it.
My
Where
first
these
system,
kids, they're just getting it. And they're out here saying, yo, I'm getting it out the mud. Then they didn't know.
no, you're getting from your parents.
You're getting it from your parents. Like, you know, relax, Tyshawn. Like, you know what I mean? Or Jamal. Like, you know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. It's crazy.
Yo, it's funny that you say that because it's like, yo, as a kid, I remember all down to my systems. My parents would buy no Nintendo. What? Gear?
No.
Gear?
No.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
No.
Bro, like, you know what I'm saying? But I would like, I guess I had on here before we were talking, we were speaking, and he's just like, yo, him coming from Jamaica, coming to here, his mentality is different, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not thinking like, oh, get up and play. He's thinking like, yo, I came to Canada for a better life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not thinking that.
Yeah, for real though, yeah. I see that.
Because I was always wondering, how did you become where you become? You become like straight after high school. Some people need time after high school to figure out what the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But he's just coming from a place in Jamaica where like, yo, there wasn't much opportunity. And coming here, it's like there's so much opportunity and we don't see it.
I seen a thing about Vibes Cartel. He was talking and he's like, yo, TV lock off after a certain time.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I just like, yo, you can watch TV all night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we were younger, you can watch TV all night.
TV lock off, yo, bedtime, like, yo,
It's crazy. There's a quick thing I want to go back to talk to you about this COVID thing. We were just vibing a while ago. I want to know how you felt. Basically, okay, so now there was the issue of like, yo, is COVID really a thing? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people were wondering, yo, I think all population control was a talk one time.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to do population control. The mask mandates, the social distancing.
Yeah.
Getting vaccine if you wanted to travel. And then some people are saying like, okay, you know what? This is all propaganda in the sense of it's just a bad flu.
Yeah.
People screaming that it was a bad flu. How did that make you feel knowing, say, yo, ooh, like, what the fuck? Bro, I almost...
Yeah. So for me, I was like, well, yo, like for one, COVID's real.
Yeah.
Like, people like, that's one thing I said, yo, COVID's real. Like people are like asking me, like, how did it feel? Like, you know what I mean? Any symptoms that people were feeling, they would call me. It's like I was like the poster child for COVID. So everyone's calling me when they're having their symptoms. And I was like, yo, the COVID's real. I feel like, was it like about control, population control? Like, I don't know, because it didn't really kill as much people as it's supposed to. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what about... Okay, so I lost two friends that like randomly, just random.
Yeah.
And the talk was just like, yo, because they got vaccinated.
Yeah.
They're both vaccinated. Not that they got vaccinated, but they were... In my head, I'm just like, yo, they were both vaccinated.
Yeah. I didn't believe in that whole vaccine, because there's so many people that caught COVID vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't believe that the vaccination was supposed to do anything. Like, they're saying pretty much you're going to put something into your body. You're going to put COVID into your body willingly. You know what I mean? And I was like, yo, how do you know what you're putting in your body? How did they come up with this vaccination so fast? So even me, when I came out of the hospital and the nurse was coming to see me at my yard, she was like, yo, like, you know, are you going to get the vaccination? And I was like to her, I don't know, like, should I? And she looked at me seriously and said, I wouldn't if I were you. You know what I mean? And I thought about it, because I danced around with whether I was going to take it or not.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctors and I was like, if I get the shot, like, am I going to have the same symptoms and go through the same thing? You couldn't answer me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, why would I knowingly put that back in my body knowing that it took me out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I never ended up getting it because I was just, like, against it. And I caught COVID actually again the second time. But like it was more like of a 24-hour like symptoms and whatever. I was like done with it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like, yo, it's a real thing. But what I think the whole pandemic did was it really brought out a lot of mental health in people.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what it did. It made us know that like, yo, we're controlled. We can tell you when to stay inside. You know what I mean? We can tell you when to wear masks, and people did it, right? There's people even arguing saying, oh, like you're not vaccinated or you can't come to my house.
Yeah.
I'm going up aisles or whatever that I'm not supposed to go up in the grocery store, and people are saying, oh, like, you're going the wrong way, right? There's arrows. People are actually getting mad, and I'm looking like, yo, why does it matter if there's arrows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we have to pass each other even if I'm coming down this way or whatever. So it really turned people into like idiots, pretty much.
I remember people didn't want to cough.
People didn't want to cough or nothing. You coughed, it was like, oh, like you have COVID or whatever the case may be. So it really showed me like, that people are controlled. They're controlled by what they see and what they hear. Every day I watch the news is about COVID. Every night. COVID. You know what I mean? Till it's not about COVID no more. They barely talk about COVID. So they're really like poisoning everybody. And I really think it contributed to a lot of people's mental health. And so even though COVID's done and we're outside, we're doing our thing, a lot of people didn't recover from it.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? I still see people with masks, people driving in their car with a mask on, walking outside with a mask on.
Yeah, so another comment I want to make about that too is like, even when we were going through it, I didn't realize that till as time went on, that even the government was making money from the situation.
Oh man, yeah.
Signs, the signs really changed my perspective.
Yeah, Dougie made. He owned that company that was making the signs.
Yeah,
the contract.
I learned that after everything was done. That is crazy.
Man made money.
That is crazy, bro.
Money. Right, because his company got the contract for that.
Yeah.
So the government was making money. They're making money on the what do you call it? The little like notes or whatever to say that the vaccine note to say that you're vaccinated and stuff like that. Like, yo.
I had, I'm not even gonna say that.
But yeah, and then enough people were making money off of COVID, like, you know what I mean? So it was crazy. Like,
it's true. I remember my gym membership changed to like $250 a month.
Yeah, man.
Like even say the gym, we get them in check.
Yeah, shoes was booming for me. I was making money off of shoes.
Yeah, because man, you're not shopping for a minute, and then think about it. Say if you had a business that picked up because it was COVID.
Yeah.
Then you're laughing.
My business thrived in COVID while some other business, like, they didn't do well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because of the era, I guess, that I'm from, I did well in COVID, where some people didn't do well.
Yeah. Same here.
I was used to being inside and being isolated. I got grounded a lot as a youth, Yeah. So me being isolated, I'm like, all right, I'm inside. Like, I'm used to this because, like, I used to be like a bad youth, you know what I mean, when I was younger. So it is what it is for me.
Yeah.
But like I said, it slowed me down, which gave me more time to like read books, you know what I mean? And do all that, like sleeping, do all that stuff, right? Because I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I liked COVID, man. I like COVID, you know?
I turned up. I made my money and turned up.
Yeah.
You get bored. Like,
Yeah, man.
You get bored.
So you just focus on your grind and you, right?
Yeah.
And building self.
Last question about the COVID shit, because we kind of got distracted thing, but I wanted to ask you, what did that situation open your eyes to? The whole pandemic situation? Like, do you ever think like, oh shit, this shit might happen again?
Yeah, I mean, well,
remember we dealt with SARS or some shit?
Yeah, but SARS, yeah. What it showed me pretty much was that, like, yo, the government really can, like, control our minds.
Yeah.
Like, at any given time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when he's with me on the weekends, I like pretty much, we go see my grandma, and so he gets some morals and values.
See, I see you got him in. I see you got him in the gym too, throwing up hands from her. That's good, man.
I had him in the gym doing that, and so I want him to see, like, you know what I mean, like,
be able to defend himself. Yeah, anything too.
Just always at the court and throw them hands, right? So I got him here with me at work sometimes, like he'll come in, and so he sees what Dad does. He's on the road with me, like selling shoes. And
I was gonna ask you if you have those kind of business conversations with him.
I have those business conversations with him, and it's funny. I was with him this weekend, and then I have two phones, so like he was on my phone or whatever, and he looked up like your reseller, and then he's like, oh, like, Dad, you know that you can resell anything, like, you know what I mean? He looked up something on Google, because Google has that new AI or whatever.
Yeah.
Very cut down for him. So I'm seeing that he sees everything that's like going on, and he was like to me, yo, can I sell my toys and stuff like that? So like I love that. That's you. Like my hustle is catching on to him and he's seeing it. Cause like I want him to be that kid that's motivated. I want him to go out there and like get it. Like, you know what I mean? And so if I could show him the positive ways of getting it or whatever, then you know what I mean? He'll make it far. So my conversation with him a lot is that like, yo, you gotta work for things.
Yeah, yeah.
If he'll ask him for a pair of shoes and I'll be like, well, I already got you a pair of shoes and you want a next pair, you gotta work for this pair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But ones that I got you, that's me being bad, me being a parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now like extra
With the extra, like you have to work for.
well, that's big, man. Yeah, I was gonna ask you that shit. Does he have the same shoe fetish as you?
Now, yeah, but I did it to myself.
Yeah, no, what is he like Jay's or is he like a KD? Because the youths like KD and Kyries. And
The other day, he asked me for a pair of shoes. I think it was like some LaMelo of all shoes. They're ugly, but he's from that era, yo. A basketball shoe, because basketball shoes is big right now.
Yeah.
And kids love it. So they're wearing like the KDs. They're wearing like all the basketball stuff that's popular. You know what I mean? And so he's part of that era. Even though he doesn't play ball, he likes that because that's what his peers are wearing. You know what I mean? So I like that for it because like he has an interest in something, right? Because right now, like his interests are very limited. He likes Fortnite. You know what I mean? He doesn't really like a lot. So, you know, it's good to see that he likes shoes or whatever because the medium could kind of connect on that. You know what I mean? I can't really connect with him on Fortnite.
Yeah, bro, what they call it? What they do? Yeah, bro.
I can't connect with him on that. Like you know, you know what I mean? And I really play PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation in my yard, really and truly or whatever. I don't play it. It's for him. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's good.
His Legos,
Yeah. So it's good to connect with him on shoes and connect with him on the hustle. Like, you know what I mean? He's understanding that because that is my lane or whatever. And as a father, I could guide him. I could really guide him on that lane there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm happy. Like that guy's been grinding with me like since he was in the womb.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right? I remember like his mom or whatever when she's gonna have him because she had a C-section.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yo, we were supposed to go Friday to go have him or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's a big snowstorm. So they're like, oh yeah, like the merge is busy today, so you won't be able to deliver him. They're like, come Saturday. But Saturday was like my release day. I'd always go get releases on Saturday. So I was like to his mom, like, yo, I got this big release, you know. Yeah. And I know we're supposed to have the baby. I don't mean to be a jerk right now, but like, yo, like I gotta go get this. She's like, no worries, she was cool. We went, we picked up all the shoes or whatever I need to pick up, and then boom, flew straight to the hospital and then had him that day. But she was in the lines of me sometimes grabbing shoes while like, you know what I mean, pregnant. So it's like, yo, he's been with me. Even when I used to take him on the road, he's in the car seat in the back or whatever. And I'm picking up shoes and bringing the stroller in, like giving him his bottle in the back. Like that guy's been grinding with me.
That's one thing I try to stay. No offense to my parents. They did a good job.
Yeah.
What? We never had that that conversation about the economy or
no.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I try to practice now. Like I even like my daughter, I talk to her about credit and importance of it, and like you're not too young to.
These conversations are important, and again, like with my students, I haven't had this conversation with my son yet, but with the kids that I work with, I talk about taxes. I talk about CPP because a lot of this stuff these guys don't know about. You know what I mean? Like they don't. I ask them all the time, you know what CPP is? They're like, oh, no, what is that? You know what I mean? It's a Canadian pension plan. You know what I mean? You know how much taxes are? Some of them know, some of them don't. They know what taxes is.
Know what taxes is,
but they don't know. Like they don't know about that. You know the different taxes? They don't know. The reason why is because as parents just get up in the morning. You know what I mean, and they go to work. You know what I mean? And then they come home or whatever, and they just do like the regular parenting. They don't have time to talk about finances and credit and all of that.
If your parents just came here, they're happy to come here and build and have you going to a school, a private school.
They're parenting. You're doing their thing, but they're not talking on all those things there or whatever. Whereas like, you know, some people and that have different family dynamics, they get to learn certain things. There's an advantage that they have over us. You know what I mean? So, you know, I definitely try to put it out there with these youths that like, yo, like, this is the education of life. Like, you know what I mean? knowing what taxes are, knowing what like working does for you and all of that. Like, you know what I mean? It's fine that you might not want to work a 9 to 5. That's cool. I'm not saying everybody needs to work a 9 to 5, but yo, you have to get money some way, somehow, but legit.
Yeah.
Because one thing I always say is that, yo, like everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the streets, that's a losing game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if that's where you start, that's cool.
Yeah.
But you got to learn now how to pivot.
Yeah,
Because if you don't pivot, bam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to kind of contribute to the lifestyle that, you know, you want to live. You know what I mean? And so sometimes that looks like pivoting. Sometimes that looks like saying I'm going to come off with like the whole street thing or whatever because I want to live this. The bigger picture was to always live like a rich nigga, right? Yeah. But then we got caught up in the grind and in the streets or whatever. You know what I mean?
Like you said, the point, I'm not encouraging it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the way to go.
Yeah.
What you got to do is, if you're doing that, you need to get the fuck out.
That's it.
Eventually, you need to get, because
get out.
Oh, and going for so long. None of those guys goes.
Any movie that you watch, any gangster movie that you watch, at the end of the movie, what always happens? The youth drops out or he's in jail. Yeah. There's never a happy ending because he stays doing what he's doing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And yeah, it's so true. And it's just like, yo, if you don't understand when to get out, that's a successful story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You stop before the man came for you.
Yeah.
Whether it be the man with the gun or the man with the handcuffs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's the point, like, you know what I mean? Because, the government does set you up in a way because obviously they're trying to keep the middle class, the low class low. Like, they're trying to take out middle class.
All the time.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying?
And
it always, middle class is always fighting to be up there.
Always.
You see what I'm saying?
Always.
So it's, it could be a battle sometime when you're struggling to be great. But like, brother, I had a man have an interview. I interviewed, he's like, yo, bro, take that $18, $20 job. Or fucking get paid $1.80 inside a day.
That's up to you, right? And I think that's why I was so big on like business. Like, you know, on my Instagram stories, I talk about like entrepreneurship because a lot of people think it's easy to be an entrepreneur. And while it might sound easy, you have to have some work ethic. If you have work ethic, then of course you can be an entrepreneur. But if you never, worked a day in your life, that means you don't have no structure. Yeah. You don't know what it is to get up and have to attend a job. Yeah. You don't meet a deadline or whatever. Grind, manage money, wait for a paycheck to come. You get what I'm trying to say? If you never practice those things, you know what I mean? You're not going to be an entrepreneur. And that's how you get stuck in the streets. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. But when you start understanding how money works and that, you have to budget, you're going to be successful. You know what I mean? So with entrepreneurship or whatever, I tell guys like, yo, if you have a little bit of money and things are bubbling and guaning for you, make sure you're putting that in a pot that's going to grow. You know what I mean? And that pot that's going to grow is not the streets. It's either in stocks or like some type of business. You know what I mean?
It's crazy too. Another comment I want to make, like, when my team was putting this together, bro, days was just us.
Yeah.
We don't see nobody else. It's hours are just us. Like, everybody had their part to play. One person's doing this, one person's doing that. But like, there's a big picture of everything. Yeah. And I think another downfall, especially young African-American males have, bro, you guys will put your money in to go buy work, go buy a bird, two birds, buy this and that. You guys don't put your money together to buy property. And yo, bro, real shit. People, if you're listening, you just sit down. Yeah. You have your friends, you guys sit down. Okay, what's your credit score like? Yeah. How much money you got in the bank? Yeah. And just figure it out. Yeah. Just figure it out, because I'm telling you, that's what other people do to win.
That's what I did to buy my first property, to be honest with you. When I bought my first property, I had some money saved from just like different hustles. And I remember I was talking to like an older head, and I was telling him like what I was going in with, and I was trying to impress him like with my hustles, and he was like, yo, wait a second. He like pulled back into the conversation. Yeah. You have 10 grand? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I have 10 grand saved. He's like, holy. And I must have been about like maybe like 20, 21 at this time or whatever. And he was like, yo, like, why don't you buy some property? And I was like, property? Like, how do you do that? Like, what are you talking about? Property,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so he's like, yo, like, buy some property. So I sat on it and I thought about it and I was like, all right. He said I needed 30 grand as a down payment. So I looked at the shorty that I was dating at the time and I was like, well, you have 10 grand. And then I looked at my closest dog and I'm like, okay, you have 10 grand. And I said, yo, we're going to go buy this property together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And both of them were kind of like, you know what I mean? Like iffy about it. But they seen I was about my business, so they trusted in me.
Yeah.
So I went and I bought my first property downtown with them, right? And them times my credit was bad, but we still got through, right? We had a good real estate agent. You know, her name's Priscilla. Now she's doing development. She's not even a real estate agent anymore. She does developments. And she really like guided me through everything and showed me everything. And we went through the whole trials and tribulations of property, like just with having bad credit. Yeah. The government came for me at one point or whatever, because they wanted like their rebate back and stuff. Like this, all these headaches. My tenants took me to court because when I went to sell, I gave them like a wrongful notice or whatever, but like we beat all that or whatever. It was a lot of like errors. But then like through those errors, it had me interested in real estate. You know what I mean? So when I sold the property, I cut all my peoples a big check. Like, you know what I mean? My girl at the time and my boy. And that was probably the biggest payday that they've ever seen. And so through that, they're like, all right, yo, let's do it again. Yeah. And then we went through and did it again. And so then during COVID, I decided that I wanted to show people, and it was even before COVID, but COVID was really good to get the attention of the people, how to buy property. And so I called it crowdfunding. You know what I mean? So I grabbed 3 people or whatever. We bought a property in Niagara and we went, renovated it and flipped it or whatever. And then we grabbed like a few other people and we did the same thing. So I was showing them how to buy property with just 3 people. And it's throwing down a down payment or whatever. So I was on that movement for a little bit because I wanted to get into buying property. That was going to be my thing because I was trying to pivot away from doing shoes or whatever. You know what I mean? And so COVID changed things in terms of like the market or whatever, and it became harder to buy property. I have 2 right now, and I wanted to buy more, but I'm like, yo, it's not even the time. Like it's kind of dead here for buying property, in my opinion. And so I had to pivot to actually starting like a real business. Cause I was like, yo, how am I going to get more money? And I said, well, the way you're going to get more money is by maybe like starting a real business. At the end of the day, while property is like amazing and it's cool, it's like you have to wait so long to get the turnaround. But property is like more of a retirement savings plan. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you have a few, you let them do their thing, let them bubble or whatever, come retirement or whatever, you sell them or whatever, there's your pension. And that's the advice that I would give anybody in the streets to is, yo, go buy property, a few, let it sit or whatever the case may be. Even if you get locked up or you go in or whatever the case may be, as long as those properties are being rented out in bubble, by the time you touch road and you sell a few, you'll be back on your feet again. It's that simple. You know? It's simple maths. But at the same time, nobody's really there telling a lot of like, you know, the dogs them things. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you know, for some guys, when they touch road, they don't have nothing. Yeah. So because they don't have nothing or whatever, they go right back into the streets because it's hard to get a job. You know what I mean? And then your ego, like,
you can just get that money quick, bomb, first and last. But don't think about generational wealth.
Yeah, but if you buy property, you know what I mean? So like I was saying, I moved into like business because I said, yo, the business is what's going to get me back into owning property. You know what I mean? And, you know, I thought about it. Like right now we're struggling for the everyday life. We want to make money every day. We need money every day to live. And I said, while property is cool and all, property is not going to pay you every single day. So I said, I need something that is going to generate me money with me putting less time in and then me getting it faster. And so I generated just a few other businesses that I don't have to put much time into. So that money's coming from everywhere. You know what I mean? And so that was a bigger picture for me. You know what I mean?
That's big, brother. That's big. That's big. We're gonna come to the end of the show. But I just want to ask you a question. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember you by? What do you want them to be like, oh, Osh was da 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 da. You know?
Yeah, I definitely want people to remember that like I was really putting them onto game, right? My thing is, if I can educate, you know what I mean, and, you know, have people live a better life or, you know, have a different mindset, that's what I thrive off of, you know what I mean? Because nobody was really there to give me the info. And when I was going through everything I was going through and discovering different, like, ways to make money or, like, how to be better or whatever, I felt good, you know what I mean, about that. And I wanted to go out there and give the information back to the people.
Like physically putting people on
Put
game.
people on game, you know what I mean? So I just want them to know that, like, you know, I put them on game, and that's the guy where you're going to go to get the education, or that's the guy you're going to go to get a different mindset. You know what I mean? So it's that, you know?
Yo, I'm trying to close this, but I have more questions. I have one more question, so I'm trying to close this. Okay, so now, boom. You're in the gym.
Yeah.
Often. Often.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to the gym, like, you're very into, like, taking care of yourself. You believe health is wealth. And actually just show the people that, like, yo, this guy's just all about being a better person.
All about it. The gym is where I really go to, like, meditate, fam. And I think of all my master plans in the gym or whatever. You know what I mean? If I had a bad day, I'm in the gym just working out the demons and the frustration or whatever. You know what I mean?
But you also give good gym advice.
Yeah, for sure.
You ever thought about
for sure.
tapping into that?
I always wanted to tap into it and really just, like, go deep in. Like, I'll see the big guys or the guys that are in it, and I'll ask them questions to get more education. I'm at home watching YouTube, just learning. Whatever. So, like, that's definitely something that I would want to tap into. It's just finding time. You know what I mean? I would love to kind of, like, train people, but while, like, training their body, training their mind at the same time.
I make some money at the same time.
I make some money. Come on now.
Okay, so last question. What do people need to say less and do more?
You know what? I think people need to talk less about the things that they want to do and their movements, and really start, like, moving.
Just do it.
Like, put some action to it.
Just do it.
You know what I mean?
For real, do it. For real.
Just do it.
Well, Oshea, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate having you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna have you back again, bro. This was a good conversation. Most of our interviews are an hour long.
Yeah, this was gonna be long.
Yeah, but it's good information, bro. Like, good information for the young and the old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate having you on the show, brother. You already know, man. Thanks for coming,
brother.
All right.
Yes, brother.
You already know, G. You already know.
Yeah, man.
That's it. That's a wrap, dog.